Murunwa Makwarela has been removed as Tshwane Mayor for allegedly failing to prove that he's successfully been rehabilitated after being declared insolvent. It comes a week after he was elected to the post during a dramatic sitting which saw members of the then DA-led governing coalition, some of them switching allegiance and supporting his election. Makwarela and his wife were declared insolvent in 2016, we're hearing, which prevents him from holding public office.
This morning, the city manager, Mr. Johan Metler, wrote to the Gauteng provincial election officer of the Independent Electoral Commission, informing him of a casual vacancy that has occurred in the city of Tshwane following the disqualification of Councillor Dr. Murunwa Makwarela. Well, in terms of the Constitution, Section 158, subsection 1, and read with subsection C, read together with the Section 47, subsection 1 and C of the Constitution, they basically talk about someone who's an unrehabilitated insolvent. So consequently, if you are in that position, you cannot serve as a councillor.
Let's talk more about those developments in Tshwane. Bring in the DA leader in Gauteng, Solly Msimanga. Solly, very good evening to you. Grateful for your time. Will you now take this gap, that the vacancy is now open for the job of mayor? Will you take this gap to install or have one of your own elected?
Well, thank you very much, Tembekile, and good evening to you and to the viewers at home. Indeed, this is something that we are going to act on. Let me start off by saying that right from the onset that we are not very happy that the city of Tshwane finds itself in this turmoil that it finds itself in at this point in time. We seriously need to ensure that there is stability. We seriously need to make sure that there is provision of services to the people of Tshwane, that we begin to then stabilize the finances of the municipality. And therefore, to continuously have this to and fro of jostling for positions and who's going to be the mayor, who's going to be the speaker, it's really not getting us anywhere. And we want to make sure that, the coalition is actually going to then get back into office, make sure that we stabilize government and, provide quality services to better the lives of the people of Tshwane. That's what we want to do.
How would you even hope to do that when you consider that some of your own members in the coalition have broken rank and voted, in fact, a week ago for Murunwa Makwarela to be mayor of Tshwane? So they've lost trust in the candidate that you were fielding or even the coalition as a whole.
Well, it was quite interesting that yesterday, there were people that were circulating videos of EFF members trying to stop what we or what coalition partners at a local level have agreed to do in terms of doing polygraphy tests to then identify who would those people have been and to make sure that we don't have such elements then going forward, because we have gone and campaigned, all of us, on the ticket of ensuring that we able to then keep the ANC out of, the seats of power, whether in the metros or anywhere that we will be able to then, jostle for power. And therefore, it cannot be that, people can then be bought or people can then be coerced into then, going against what we have gone, into the public and campaigned on. And these are people that we don't think that in any of our organizations should remain. If they want to then support the ANC, they can then go and do that, but they shouldn't do that at the expense of, the coalition partners that have came up and said, not in our name.
You say it's an attempt to find out which members, which councillors basically betrayed the coalition and were possibly paid to do so. Others have described it as a witch hunt, and I wonder, all of that happening now at a time when the vacancy of mayor becomes available is not actually going to be counterproductive for you. Should it not be that you abandon perhaps that process in order to make sure that you focus on getting this vote through?
Well, look, first of all, you need to make sure that you have people that you can trust. So this is not a witch hunt. This, by the way, came from all the caucuses. Nobody was coerced. It came from the local guys. So no party ever went to its own members and forced them to do any polygraphy test. Members of different caucuses, discussed among themselves and then came up with this, suggestion that they would want to go, for polygraphy tests to ensure that amongst themselves, they have colleagues that they can trust. They have colleagues that they will be able to then, go to battle with, and make sure that once we have won this particular battle, that we don't have to start, looking at each other's, sideways in terms of whether should I trust you or can I not trust you. This is why they've decided to do what they have decided to do. But what we found very interesting is that, a party that was not even involved decided to get itself involved into this particular issue, which then confirms that, there are people that wanted to do some underhanded dealings, and they want those that were involved in this underhanded dealings not to ever be found. And this is why.
Sorry, we're just almost out of time, but I want to bring this to your attention. I don't know if you've seen. I'm looking at it on my phone. Excuse me for reading from on my phone if it offends you. But there's a statement tonight from the EFF which says that the verification with the IAC Gauteng Electoral Commissioner, Thabo Masimola's office, indicates that Dr. Makwarela is still a councillor in the city of Tshwane. The commissioner explained that the removal of the councillor must follow due process, and that in this context, Dr. Makwarela is still the duly elected mayor of Tshwane until further notice. Is that right?
Well, the Systems Act is very, very clear, and the Constitution is very, very clear in terms of who is eligible to stand, in office, or who's supposed to be responsible, for being a public representative. So I'm sure you would have heard that, Section 158. 1C of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which you need to also read with Section 47 1C, I think, if I remember quite well, of the Constitution, are very, very clear in terms of who gets to be eligible to be a public representative. So we're not going to waste time on that one. It's a matter that even if you take it to a court of law, you will lose it, because this is very, very, very explicit in terms of who an insolvent person cannot, that particular office.
Last question, and very briefly, the EFF also says it's established on good authority that the allegations that we're talking about tonight have been at the disposal of the DA since the inception of the municipal council following the 2021 local government elections. Did you know about this insolvency issue and decide to sit on it because it wasn't convenient to act at the time?
No, it's not the job of the DA to know these things. We wouldn't know how the EFF's own internal processes, undertaken in terms of selecting or electing their own candidates. It is up to each party to ensure that, once your candidate signs the IC form that says that there's nothing prohibiting them, from becoming a public representative, that you are able to then verify that.
So to be clear,
we didn't know. This is information that was just made available to us as the media, was given this information. So this was never leaked from us. It was, a whistleblower that decided to then come. This is not information that was known to us beforehand.
Right. The EFF then says that this holds, it means that all decisions that Dr. Makwarela took as Speaker of Council should also be invalid. Is that right?
Well, I think that is something that the legal minds in the municipality will then have to guide that particular council in. I'm not going to be able to then make a calling on that. I'm not a councillor. I'm representing a party that is actually represented in that particular council. So I think the councillors will then have to then take this matter on a legal review, use their own internal legal minds in there, and make sure that they get an answer in terms of what you are asking me, whether this is something that is doable. I don't know where the EFF get their legal opinion from. Obviously, that will have to be tested against the city's own legal opinion, and then the decision be made from there.
Okay, Solly Msimanga, dear leader in Gauteng, good to speak to you as always, sir.